This is Canada Reads American Style, featuring two friends who love Canada Reads and Canadian literature. Welcome our host Rebecca from Michigan and Tara from Ontario.
Hi everyone, it is Rebecca, and Tara and I wanted to introduce a new feature, a monthly feature to the podcast, and we are calling it Reader Repartee. And repartee means, quote, conversation characterized by quick, witty comments or replies, unquote. And what we want to do is ask 5 questions. And today we're actually going to have Tara be our first person to test this theory out to see how well we can pull this off. I think it'll be kind of fun. And we just want to encourage you, once you've kind of heard the 5 questions, which could possibly change over time, but we kind of like these 5 questions. But if you are interested at all in kind of dipping your toe into the podcast pool, please let us know. We would love to have you on, and you can answer the 5 questions. And that's all we would require of you, right, Tara?
That's it. 5 simple answers.
Absolutely. And you already know what the questions are. So if you have great answers,
Yep.
basically your homework is done, and you just need to, you can DM us and let us know if you're interested. And as I said, we'll do this on a monthly basis. So I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. All readers love to hear about other readers. Like their habits, their favorite books. We all love to hear that stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why we're all on Bookstagram. We like to see what other people are reading and how they feel about things. So that's a really great point. That is exactly kind of why we're doing it. But yeah, thanks for mentioning that. Yeah. Okay. So our first question for you, Tara, is, because I am truly fascinated by this question, but how did you become a reader?
Okay. I'm going to say, and this probably won't be a totally original answer, I can't remember ever not being a reader. So I'm going to give my mom kudos for that, and my mom and my grandmother, because I was raised by both of them. So I cannot remember not ever having a book in my hand. I have memories of my mom must have brought me to the library weekly. I was raised in a small city, so it wasn't a fancy library, but I have a clear picture of that library and sitting in the corner window in the kids section and looking out on the river that ran down below. And I loved that library. And I loved coming home with at least 10 books. I feel like I have like the 10 book mark in my head. So I wonder if there was a limit of how many books you could bring home or take out at a time. And that was a huge part of my childhood. So I'm going to go with my mom and the library for what made me a reader.
Now, are you comfortable saying which one that was? Because I love that you were seeing a river scene. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yes. Okay. So I grew up in Corner Brook, Newfoundland, and the library was it wasn't a skyscraper because it was Corner Brook, Newfoundland. But when I was a kid, it was like this tall building. So it was probably a city building. And I think it was on, I can't remember what floor. I have the 6th floor in my head. Again, that could be totally wrong because I'm remembering it as a kid. But there's a river that runs through Corner Brook, the Humber River. The library was situated near the one part of the river in the park. So I could look out and see the river in the window.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Don't we all wish we had a library that was situated on a river? That would be awesome. So, Okay, question number 2. What book do you wish you could read again for the first time to have that feeling of having the excitement maybe that you had when you read it for the first time?
Okay, another interesting question because I am a rereader. So I have that experience quite a bit. But I'm going to go with The Tent Peg by Aritha van Herk. So this is an older book, I think from like 1981. She is a Canadian writer. She's now a professor at the English department at the University of Calgary. And I first read this book in a Canadian lit class when I was in university in the 90s. And I loved this book. I loved it. And it sticks in my head. Just certain scenes are in my head and the feeling of it. And it's never gone away. And that's been easily like 30 years. Yeah, easily. So that's it. And it has been sitting on my to be reread pile for the last few years. And I'm a little tentative to reread it only because I'm afraid it won't give me the same experience. But at the same time, I'm interested to see how, in the last 30 years, what more life experience I'm going to bring to the book and how it's going to change the reading of it in that way as well. I don't think I'm going to not love the book anymore, but it's going to be a different reread.
Can you give us a hint of what it's about if you remember? I mean, it doesn't have to go
Oh,
into great detail, but I'm curious, what is the
yeah,
book
yeah.
about?
So it's I can't remember all the details, but it's about a young woman who decides to go to the north, like into the Yukon, I believe, and she joins a team of men. Well, only men because that's what it was. They were either miners or yes, I think it was for mining. So she joins them and is their cook for the summer or the time that they're spent there. And that's it. And it's amazing.
Okay, that does sound really interesting,
Yeah.
and we will put that in the show notes, by the way. So just in case somebody else wants to read that book, which I kind of now want to look at it myself,
Yeah.
we will put that in the notes. All right, excellent. Now, question number 3: what is your favorite opening sentence of a book?
Okay. I do not have a favorite opening sentence because I don't remember opening sentences. So I chose the opening sentence of my current book, which is Fall on Your Knees by Ann-Marie MacDonald. And the opening sentence is, They're all dead now, which I actually thought was a pretty darn good sentence.
Okay, that is actually an excellent
Yeah.
sentence.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, again, we will put that in the show notes because now we all want to know more about
Yeah.
that book. That's a
Oh, it's a
great
great
opening
book.
line.
It's a great
Great
book.
opening line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, question number 4: what is your favorite book cover?
Okay. I'm going to cheat a little bit because it's going to be for a series. But it's an edition of Anne of Green Gables that came out several years ago. The covers were designed by a paper artist, Ellie McKay, who's from Owen Sound here in Ontario, and they're beautiful. They're stunning. So it's when I saw that, I was already a fan of hers, and then I saw that she did these covers, and I'm like, well, now I have to buy another edition of Anne of the Green Gables just to get those covers. She's a paper sculpturist, and she takes pictures and light boxes of her paper sculptures and changes the light. Rebecca,
Oh,
she's amazing.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe what we could do when we upload this podcast, so if you're listening to it now, it's already uploaded, but maybe Tara could take a screenshot of one of the covers
Oh yes.
and to let us know what it looks like, because obviously we can't help you with a podcast on what it looks
Yeah.
like. But yeah, I definitely want to see it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, excellent. Okay, our last question for our Reader Repartee series is: which author, living or dead, would you like to meet in person and why?
Okay, this is going to be like in theme with my last answer, and it's going to be Lucy Maud Montgomery, the author of the Anne of Green Gables series and many other books that I love. She's known as an author of children's books, although
Mhm.
she's written books beyond children's books, but that's what she's known for. During her lifetime, she was very popular, but she was also dismissed in the Canadian writing world, which was monopolized by men. Her books have this people think of the Anne of Green Gables books as being very simple and happy and cheery, but there's a dark side to them, which I only saw once I started rereading them as an adult. And because she had a dark side to her life, I've read several of her journals and biographies written by her, and I would love to sit down with her and know how it's amazing what she did in her career with what was going on in her personal life and even in her professional life, how she handled that. And I would love to sit down and have multiple cups of tea with her and just listen to her.
Oh, I think that's a wonderful answer. I mean, a wonderful answer because I don't know the complexity of her as a human being, as an author, a woman writing at that time. But it's funny, my mom is currently kind of burned out right now. She listens to audiobooks,
Hmm.
and she does it through the Library of Michigan, through this program that allows it's like a Braille and talking book library.
Yep.
And I told her, I said, if you're kind of in a rut because you read the same thing all the time. So I said, why don't you read or listen to Anne of Green Gables? So she
Yeah.
now has a copy. And I'm so excited to her. And I told her, I said, sometimes we think of this as, these are kids' books. I said, but the language is beautiful, the time period, just
Yeah.
everything about it is so magical that people, let's face it, of all ages love Anne of Green Gables.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think when you look at it, when you've passed childhood and you're reading them and you see what this little girl, what could have been, what her life could have been if she hadn't found this couple, there's a dark side to it. And then you follow her throughout her life. You follow Anne throughout her life, and it's a beautiful story.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a perfect way to end our first reader repartee series. So, Tara, thank you so much. And again, if you've listened to the 5 questions and you really want to share your comments with the world, I say the world because actually we do have readers all around or listeners all around the world. We truly do. We see the statistics, and let us know. And again, it's just a nice way to dip your toe into being on a podcast.
Yeah. And next month we're going to switch it up, and I'm going to be interviewing Rebecca. So Rebecca will be in the hot seat next month.
I have the greatest first line of a book. I mean, I actually have one that I read it like 20 years ago. I never forgot it. So,
well, I can't wait to find out what it is. If you've enjoyed what you've been listening to, then please feel free to leave us a review.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.